Afghans have come out in support of government troops against the Taliban. The latest show of support was seen in the city of Jalalabad as heavy fighting continued across the country between the government forces and Taliban terrorists. These visuals from the city of Jalalabad, locals in the city took out a procession reaching one of the main intersections in the city. People came out in their cars and trucks chanting Allah Akbar, our God is greatest, in support of the Afghan security forces. The procession was part of efforts to gather on rooftops at 9 p.m, following similar scenes the night before in the western city of Herat. That city remains under siege after government forces countered the latest Taliban assault.
We are chanting today because our people should come together to support our security forces and stand against the enemies.
Similar protests are being staged across Afghanistan as Afghans raise their voice against the brutality of Taliban insurgents. Over the last couple of days, Afghan Defense Ministry spokesperson Fawad Aman had been tweeting about this campaign, highlighting how Afghans have come out on rooftops and in the streets of the besieged city of Herat. Just yesterday, Fawad Aman tweeted how the campaign will spread to Kabul. But what followed was a lethal Taliban response. Soon after that tweet, the Taliban carried out a deadly bombing in the heart of the Afghan capital. 4 people were killed and 20 wounded in a coordinated bomb and gun attack, targeting the Afghan Defense Minister and several lawmakers in the country's capital. The attack was not far from the heavily fortified Green Zone. What followed the attack was an outpouring of support for government troops. People of Kabul came out in huge numbers to voice their support for the government, despite the threat of attacks by the Taliban. The Afghan Defense Ministry spokesperson tweeted visuals of people taking to the streets after the Kabul blast, chanting God is great and death to the Taliban. People were seen waving Afghan flags as they held a procession in the capital. The Afghan government is calling this an uprising against the Taliban, the start of a nationwide movement against the terrorists. In fact, Amrullah Saleh, the first vice president of Afghanistan, himself joined the street protests, calling for an end to Taliban brutality. Unwilling to recognize the will of the people, the Taliban has threatened the protesters who support government forces, calling them slaves. Taliban has issued a statement saying, "This is our motto. This is not the motto of American slaves and secularists. Our proud and Muslim nation is not afraid of false slogans. We will hold the slaves accountable for the sake of Allah," unquote. Earlier, the Afghan army chief explained the Taliban's strategy and admitted shortcomings on the part of the government forces. General Wali Mohammed Ahmadzai said, quote, "The enemy had a multiple-stage plan as a whole. First, they wanted to occupy the borders and open the way for their supply. Second, to plan their attacks from the districts on the cities, which the enemy carried out to some extent. They were not respecting anything," unquote.